In this final task of Lab 1, I'll review GIS data attributes and attribute tables. Currently, I have QGIS Desktop open, and I'll click the Add Vector Data button and add a couple layers from the lab data. I'll add ST48_D00 and the Texas DOT small airports layer. Now I'll drag the state boundary underneath the airports so I can see both layers at the same time. And if I want to examine the attributes of one of these layers, I simply right-click on it in the table of contents and choose Open Attribute Table. Now this is a fairly simple layer with just 2 records in the attribute table and 2 features on the map. But I can see at the top, it'll tell me the feature total. So if I have a complicated layer or a large layer with thousands of records, I'll be able to look at that title bar and see how many records are in that layer. This layer just has a couple useful attributes: the state name, the state code, and some other codes for regions and divisions. Now I'll open up the attribute table for the airports layer. This is a much bigger layer. It has 386 features, and it looks to have several dozen attribute columns as well. Like I said, this is a fairly large attribute table with many columns and 386 records, and I may be looking for one particular feature in here. And one thing I can do to help find that is sorting. So I can click on the field header for any column in the attribute table and sort those records, and I can toggle back and forth between ascending or descending sorts. And that will help me navigate through and find something either in alphabetical order or numeric order. Another thing I can do to learn about my attributes is look at how data is justified in the column. So here on the right-hand side, I have one column here that has text that describes the type of airport we're dealing with, whether it's regional or commercial. And then I have a traffic count, the number of in and out flights from that airport. And I'll see that this data is left justified and this data is right justified in its column. This is one quick way I can determine what kind of data is held in a field. So here, if I have a left justified column, I know that's text data. If the data is right justified, I know that's numeric data. And that's important because sometimes you can have numeric digits stored as text, such as zip codes. And if the data is stored as text, you can't do mathematical operations on it. So knowing what kind of data you have to work with in your table is important. Another way that I can determine what kind of fields I'm working with is to open up the layer properties. Here I'm just double clicking on the layer to open up layer properties. And I'm going to go to the Fields tab. And here each attribute column will be listed with its definition. So these are string fields at the top, but each one has a different width or length. That's the number of characters they can hold. And if I scroll down, I'll see that there are some integer and real fields here. These are numeric fields, and again, the width is displayed. For the double precision fields that hold decimal point data, the precision would be the number of decimal places that field can hold. In the next lab, you'll do more work with tables. You'll learn how to perform an attribute join and how to classify data.